Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing a video about the Jalen Duren impending free agency, restricted free agency, expected to be re-signing with the Pistons, and everything about this season, things that happened with that season, and we'll talk about it from there because I think it's be very important. I think it's one of the biggest keys of the offseason. I think there's one bigger key from the offseason, which I will do a video on, hopefully coming up shortly here. But yeah, we'll just start off with Jalen Duren. All-star. It was his first season as an all-star. He finished up his rookie contract. This time last year, he was looking for a lot of money, not nearly as much as he has now. We found out most recently that he is now a member of all NBA third team, which makes him eligible for an even bigger extension. Yeah, I think the max that people can offer him is a 40-something million a year. I'll get those numbers exactly right in a second here, but yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of initial, which is, it's hot take. Ours is what it is, and it's everybody had the initial feeling. I had the same feeling at times. Nobody wanted to pay this guy about a month ago, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever the Pistons were still in the playoffs, because he had an absolutely shambolic playoffs. Um, Pretty bad playoffs for the second straight year, to be honest with you. But he has moments, and it's funny because I think every game he played decent. Pistons won pretty comfortably. So what does that tell you exactly? But yeah, he was an All NBA third team guy. He was an All Star. He's 22 years old. Um, Anybody would want that guy. I think the Lakers would try to give a max offer. The Nets, the Bulls, those are the names you guys hear of now. I'm sure other teams, if he was available, would move heaven and earth to try to get that contract done. Well, the good thing for the Pistons is his restricted free agency. But I know there's a lot of people around Detroit and that are fans of it and that tweeted, I think, with a tweet. Again, he had a horrible playoffs. I'm gonna bet on the upside of the 22-year-old All NBA guy. If you look at it in a vacuum between Cade and Duren, you have two All NBA players. One was first team, one was third team. One's 25, the other's 22. You've got one of the best wing defenders anyone's ever seen. I believe he's like 22 as well. Nassar Thompson. You got Ron Holland. You got all these young guys. Dennis Jenkins is probably considered almost like a vet at this point. So yeah, you got a lot of options. You got a lot of things going for you. I'll bet on that upside there. And hopefully it's just like Jared Allen, and the lights were too bright the first playoff or two, and then he figures it out from there because you're going to need him to figure it out in the playoffs. You can't have a guy paying as much as you're going to be paying him, not be able to do anything in the playoffs. So that is where it's at for now. I will absolutely be okay with signing him. I initially was unwisely saying I don't really care about the money. I know that probably sounds crazy, but what I meant is in a vacuum, the money doesn't matter to me because between him, Cade, and Nassar, you're already being the second apron. But then I realized that every dollar over the second apron is like hurts you more in theory. So whoops there. So now quickly looking back at it, I just pulled up the numbers here. So before earning All NBA honors, Jalen Duren was going to be making a 5-year, $240 million contract. Now, after making All NBA third team, he has qualified for the Rose Rule, is what they're calling it. I guess it's probably Derrick Rose. Max rookie tier that raised Detroit's projected offer to 5 years, $287 million. So 30% of the cap. It went from 25% to 30%. He'll be making 49.5, 53.5, 57, 61, 65 on that max. That's a 5-year deal. It would take him from 26 to the beginning of the 26, 27 season to the end of the 30, 31 season. I doubt he gets that. If he had a playoffs as effective as his regular season, maybe, which would have been terrifying. But yeah, he'll probably be getting something a little bit lower than that, almost probably more towards what the max was beforehand, that around like the $40 to $44 million deal. I think that's what everyone's been reporting online. The max and another team could offer him is 177 over 4. And with him being a restricted free agent, they can do whatever they want. And that's a 44.25. So maybe he'll give a little bit of wiggle room to the Pistons. I know Kukahil had on the cap guy. God, what's his name? And he was explaining that a lot of some teams are doing from more like flat rate or even front loaded contracts, especially with the apron stuff. Because like paying Duren, the scale of the rookie deal that he could get max, this one starts at 49.5 and ends at 65.3. Like if you could almost flatten that out and have it be what, like 457 the whole time, that'd be better. So if you had it 44, 44, 44, 44, as opposed to the crazy scaling, that would probably help out the Pistons' flexibility immensely, especially with the impending Asar Thompson contract. So I would probably put him at something like that. I know a lot of people have been talking about trading him. I mean, the only obvious sign-in trade you could think of is, I guess, would be Austin Reeves for Duren. I mean, you probably need to pick with that too. If I'm the Pistons, I want to pick because Duren and Luca would be unbelievable. So, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'd be stunned. It'd be one of the most stunned I've ever been in terms of sports if Duren is not on the Pistons next season. If he's on the Pistons for a considerable while. Again, he's young. You got to invest in him while you can. Let's see right now. I'm going to pull up his stats just so we can look at his stats together here. He had 19.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, 2 assists. And look at the defensive stats. He had 0.8 blocks, 0.8 steals with 1.9 turnovers. So, almost doubled his production from last year points wise. His defensive numbers went down a little bit, but I mean, he was playing a lot more and do a lot more. The only issue is when you go from the regular season 19.5, you look at it, it's 10.2. So you had a worse playoffs this year than last year and a larger sample size, which is even scarier if you're from that Pistons perspective. But I said this too, and look, I know this could be loser talk. I do. If you're telling me he's going to be an All-NBA player in the regular season to get you home field advantage and into the playoffs every year, and then you have to play Paul Reed more in the playoffs, would that be the worst thing in the world? No. Would I be okay with it? I'm going to say yes. Do I really believe that? Probably not. But I'd be okay with it deep down. Maybe the back of my head be like, at least we're in the playoffs and not, 14 and 80 like we have been in the past. But then again, that would open you up to different problems. Not winning many playoff series and just going there and getting stuck in a different version of mediocrity, much better mediocrity. But who knows? But that's what I have for now on that. I think that potentially frees up things like Stu being shopped if you invest in him there. I know everyone keeps talking about how they want to have Paul Reed, his contract, like fixed, maybe make it better because he obviously outplayed it. I think Paul Reed's best in smaller doses. So, if you invest heavily in a center one, and he's probably one of the better backup centers you can have in terms of energy wise and efficiency wise and shooting threes and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm okay with that for sure. We're gonna have to work on maybe the efficiency and maybe a little bit more offense with Duren because as big of a fan as I am of him, and especially as big a fan as I am of Asar Thompson, it's always be a clunky fit with those two. Unless you somehow can find one of the better 3-point shooters and defenders out there and kind of hide each other. If you go on defense, sure, but it could get tricky, but we'll look at that going forward. I think there's a guy that you could actually find that would answer both of your problems. And I'll be doing a video on that, hopefully a little bit further from now. I know I've done videos in the past where I just literally go through and just do a trade for every team. I'm going to try to be as reasonable as possible when it comes to those, but we'll do that going forward. I know I say all the time that we'll do more videos going forward. I would love to do that, but things happen. But I just want to get this video out because I'm very fascinated from Pistons society perspective what this Duren thing's going to look like. But this is probably would have been a better topic a couple weeks ago when it was more controversial. But my official prediction is the Pistons will sign a just under a little over $200 million deal with Duren for 5 years, which I think will age very well. Because I know we're talking about it now, potentially with the Stu moving, and that everyone and their mom wants him traded. Not wants him traded. Is talking about him getting traded. People hated his deal at the time, and it's now one of the best deals out there. It's just how the cap works. I always compare it to quarterbacks, where it's like, wow, these quarterbacks are making like no money now. Blah blah blah. Like, you can sign a quarterback now, like Jordan Love, for like what, 40 million, something like that, and then like 4 years later, you're like, whoa, he's underpaid. It's just how it works. So hopefully, we're in that same situation with Duren, and it's not some crazy ridiculous contract, but the alternative that everyone wanted was to let him walk or trade him. So you'd make like what, a $50 million or $40 million trade exception. You get a pick or something or a player back. The amount of balls it would have to take for you to let an all-star center, all NBA third team guy walk is ridiculous. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of somebody like that. I mean, maybe I'm going to quickly see if there's any examples. So I just quickly threw in the chat GPT. Give me some similar players with career paths to Jalen Duren. First one that came up was Dwight Howard. Now, Dwight Howard had some struggles on early. I don't even know what his playoff stats particularly were, but I mean, I know obviously I'm not saying he's Dwight Howard, but obviously if that was the case, that would be absolutely incredible. Let's quickly look at it here. So Jalen Duren, Dwight Howard started off slow, and then I think he was an all-star his last year under his first deal in Orlando. And postseason wise, no, he had really good postseason production, so that's a bad example there. But the other names it has here is it has Bam Adebayo, Jared Allen. Yeah, I mean, Bam's obviously a lot more offensively gifted. Don't really know about that, but even if he turns into Jared Allen, Duren, I think he obviously be better than that. Sure hope so. That's not the worst thing. Contract wise, it'll be bad, but that's a pretty good floor. If you can have your floor be Jared Allen, that's fine. But I think it'll be better than that. The other comparison on here is DeAndre Ayton. I know that's the one that everyone's scared of. They don't want the DeAndre Ayton situation where the Pacers gave him the max, they matched it, and then they ended up having to trade him to they had to trade him to Portland from Phoenix, and it was a whole thing. But I doubt that turns out that way. Again, I understand where people are coming from, where it could turn out that way. But again, I'll trust the development of the staff in the front office and all that stuff. It would be a really, really ballsy call to do it. And I don't know if it would ever work, but that's what I got for now. So let me know down below what you think about Jalen Duren's contract, what you think it'll be if you would invest in him like I would. But yeah, that's all I got for now. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Right here. Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.